Welcome to the Jehovih Chronicles with your host, Cosmon Cal.
That's right. Right back like I left something. It's your hostess with the mostest, holding that fire like a roach clip. Your naga. Your nerve fresh off of that curd jelly. Jamming preserve. Cosmonium. Right back up in this thing, man, like I left something. Hey, everybody know tomorrow is quote unquote Independence Day. But as a faith, we celebrate this day, but we celebrate it for a different reason. You dig what I'm talking about? And we lock in with the creator and, on the ideal of freedom. You know what I mean? So, a lot of this has to do with independence of not only the Americas, you dig what I'm talking about, but the American people. Now, in those stories, they many times the story is just generally told. You know what I mean? It's told generally. It's not specified, and we'll get more into the Aboriginal part of this. You dig what I'm talking about, and how it ties from the American Revolution all the way to the American Civil War during these times. Shout out to everybody for coming in, man. Thumb up the video. Hopefully they sharing they're sharing the live out there, man. Tap in, sub, like, share, y'all. Shout out to everybody who tapping in already, man. Share the live out, man. Thumb it up. Share it out to your friends and family, man. Let's get to just rock and catch the vibe a little bit. Allow some people to come in here, man. We just gonna get to cooking, man. This is the Jehovih Chronicles number 252. The meaning of Holy Compact Day, aka the 4th of July. Let's go.
Yeah, I feel good. The atmospheric, green skies, the gang coming. I be in and out, so leave that thing running. Purify is preferred. Higher frequency, a higher bird. I observe on a different nerve. Breaking codes, I am the yoga. Deadly as a Ruger, straight and a shooter. Out the holster with this mudra, inoculation with the wisdom. Creator shape my prism and hit them with no schisms. Perfect. Breathe and turn the light up. Y'all disappointing like 9 to 5 and some write-ups. Something rearranged, let that boy cook. Organization 33, stay up in them books. Lead them boys shook. 46 divided, yeah, I'm Fort Michael. It was only rifle that I came up in this cycle. They say they gangsters, but they telling it. Step outside, take off my shoes and let the sun hit my melon. Had to be learned that the herb beat the medicine. It's the same matrix, so who you think you better than? Perfect.
Jehovih is as near this day as in the time of the ancients. Put yourself in order, becoming one with him. And no book is so easily read as his created universe. Inspiration comes less by books than by what Jehovah wrote. His worlds read him and his works. Frame your speech and your thoughts for him. He will answer you in your own behavior and in the happiness of your soul. Great wisdom cannot be attained in a day, nor purity and strength to overcome temptation, till the growth is from the foundation. The fool will say, the sacred books are no more than man of his own knowledge could write. Yet he has not wisely imitated the power of the words of your God. Let him do this well, and behold, he will also declare my words are from me. Yes, he will recognize them wherever found. It is the will and wish of your God that all men become constitutionally capable of receiving and comprehending the highest life, and that they shall no longer depend upon any priest, church, oracle, holy book, or upon consulting the spirits, and that their behavior may make the earth a place of peace, with long life to all people, for the glory of Jehovah. To his Etherian gods and goddesses, Jehovah said, as you have founded arcs of light in my Etherian heavens, to determine the travel of my corporeal worlds, so shall my God of the earth inspire mortals to build lighthouses for man's ships that travel on the oceans, and those who travel in the ships. And those on the land shall know when a ship nears the port, even as you see my traveling earth approaching the place of Cosmos. For this shall be an illustration to mortals, that I have appointed cycles of times and dawns of times, with gods and goddesses to superintend my creations in tenderness and love, lest by chance man becomes despondent, saying, alas, Jehovah did not provide in wisdom commensurate with the magnificence of his creations. Behold, the time draws near when the nations of the earth shall course around the whole earth in ships, crossing the seas and oceans to all the places I created.
What I'm talking about. Shout out everybody for coming through, showing love. Sub, share everything. You dig what I'm talking about? Like the live, share it to your platforms. You dig what I'm talking about? This ain't gonna be long. We gonna give some understanding, clarity on what they call Independence Day, right? Faith is always, and foremost, before we go on, all praise to the ever-present Creator, the always was, is, and ever shall be. Those who stand by the Creator today, those of that Algonquin, stock, the praisers of the Great Spirit. You dig what I'm talking about? Those who have amalgamated also with the great Israelite stocks of the East, also with the Vedic stocks of the East, and along with the Asian stocks of Ho-Tien, also known as Confucians or the Blacks of Asia. who have found their way to the Americas. You dig what I'm talking about? And still upholding the love, light, and balanced practice of the faiths of the Great Spirit. I salute you. Tomorrow is or we have actually observed it. The actual day it was signed is the 2nd, but we observe it on the 4th with everybody else. And we call it Independence Day, or in the United States, they called this day Independence Day, right? Let's blow up a little more. Get a little more. Let me get this out the way too. We don't need that. Now look, shout out to everybody. You did what I'm talking about. Let's give the meaning of what you call Independence Day. We understand it as Holy Compact Day, right? Real quick, let's just look up the definition. You did what I'm talking about of the word compact, right? Definition of compact. Okay. Let's pull this up. Okay. We got hold on. Let's see. Okay. Hold on. Now, a compact, let's look at the definition, right? In the historical term of what a compact is, right? Let me pull this up. There you go. Right? In historical terms, what is a compact? Right? A compact is an agreement or contract that people agree to, right? For instance, the Mayflower Compact was an agreement between 41 men above the Mayflower to live by a social contract. A social contract means that people are willing to give up some of their individual rights, right? Some of their individual rights to have other rights and protections as a group, right? So when we're talking about a compact, we're not talking about a little container in your purse that you keep blush and rouge in. Understand? Right? We are talking about a contract, right? And in America, if we're going to talk about a contract, we must talk about the greatest of the contracts, and that is the Constitution, right? And for most people, they look at the Constitution straight up and down in their, their regular physical life. It is what it is. It means something to them. It doesn't mean something to them. People say it's real. It's not real. They have different understandings of it, and but they never stop to think what inspired it. And if it is a contract between men, does it lock itself in indefinitely by the claims that it's making? Right? Owaspy reveals to us that yes, if you are making a claim that all men are equal, and yet you have slavery in your borders, that's oxymoronic. And it will lead to dissolution, warfare, destruction, because you aren't even a country or men of your word. And see, the whole idea of your word being your bond is an American indigenous ideology that had been bred into us for thousands and thousands of years. Right? We had put the first compact together, what is called America. Right? The 40 United Indigenous States of America, right, formed together to become, or what is called Ecoquim or Algonquin in the English term today, meaning out of many one, which is the same union we practice today. What y'all don't know is that's 6,000 years old, right? So if we know for a fact that the Iroquois Confederacy gave it to the Confederate Congress to write their Constitution, well, the question begs to ask, who gave it to the Iroquois? It's the Algonquins. That pact of common oneness, that Americanness, the place of the big soul, the land of the great spirit. They call it big soul, rich land, rich soul. No, it's the land of the great spirit. The land of Gichi, aka Guatama, the land of the 4 tribes. Let's get into the misunderstanding. And now Owaspy is revealing that what we call an Independence Day, 4th of July, is actually Holy Compact Day. Why do we celebrate this day? Because the greatest compact in America was put together leaning towards what the Creator pushes first and foremost: freedom, liberty, organization, and emancipation. That's that flow, right? Let's get into the meaning of the Holy Compact Day. We're going to keep this short. Got this little doc together right here. We're just going to show this. Why do we as faithists and praisers of the Great Spirit and all around the world, and people don't even know, you know what I mean? Why this day? Why in July? You dig what I'm saying? Most people say, what about Juneteenth and all that? Well, remember, Juneteenth is a later scenario, right? It wasn't till Juneteenth didn't come till after an amendment of the Constitution, right? Again. So, watch this. Why we observe the day of the Holy Seal, Holy Compact Day, or listen, y'all, day 13th, right, of the Faithist calendar prior, right, prior the 61st year. Now, this is when this was written right here, the Holy Compact Day, right? This is of 2017, 8 years ago, right? But 13 days, listen, 61 years and 13 days before Cosmon, which is July 2nd, 1788. 61 years and 13 days, right? So on the 13th day of the solar year, 2017, right? That's right. The new year starts on the summer solstice. New Year's Day is usually around the 21st. It is on the 21st. Of June every year, just like it fell this year. But this year, because we are in the third great oscillation of the spin of our sun, of our planet around the sun, right, which goes from especially when you're watching the moon, it goes from 354, 355, 356, and we're in the 357, and it goes back. We're in that year. So the days move. You dig what I'm talking about? Because of the actual spin and wobble of the earth, that if you watch it 3 consecutive years, every year adds a day. 355, 356, 357. We in the 357 year. So the actual Sabbath day fell on the 25th, right? But if you start counting from the 26th to the 4th, which is going to be another Sabbath, you dig what I'm talking about? You get your 7 days right there. I was trying to explain this to a sister. She think because they move around on the calendar that the actual day moves. It doesn't. The sun does the same thing over and over and over again. Right? And this is why after every third year, they're able to add a day. They call it a leap year. So they understand that this happens because they sit like we do and watch the sun or watch the moon. You dig what I'm saying? So, but let's get into why we observe Holy Seal Day, Holy Compact Day, right? Now, this is from 2017, and we're just giving you an explanation. We've been doing this a long time, dropping this info a long time, right? So sometimes we got to rehash the information. You did what I'm talking about. I personally, if I could and I can just keep dropping. But some of this stuff we got to get, the basis on. So, and it's always new people listening. And if you going to take it upon yourself to try to teach your people anything, man, be serious about it and tell them everything. Don't just tell them a piece of it. You dig what I'm saying? Let's go. Now, as faith is today, we observe the day of the Holy Seal, also known as Holy Compact Day, also the 4th of July or Independence Day. Now, on that day, 61 years before Cosmon, right? Or the 61st year before Cosmon, and day 13, right? So it's 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. It's still gonna be July 4th or July, it would fall on our calendar July 4th, but the 13th day was July 2nd, 1778, counting backwards from this day. That's crazy how time works like that. It's mathematic. You dig what I'm saying? And if you know the right point to start and start counting using the timetables of prophecy, right? And the ancient mathematics, 33, 11, 66, 99, or 369, you're able to tell time forwards and backwards using the sun and the moon. That's dope. I've heard all God say it in there, I've given you the sun and the moon for days, weeks, calendar, but they didn't turn around and teach it, right? That's only done in Owaspy. So with that, you're able to count back time, 61 years, 13 days to July 2nd, 1788. The Constitution, listen, the Constitution of the United States became the Constitution of the United States of America came officially into effect. Remember, it was written in 1787, right? For people who don't believe that, watch this. What year was the Constitution written? Right? A lot of people don't believe. We don't care what you believe. We just keep showing. Why? Because we do have the higher light. The higher light is not with the masses of the people. They are the lesser light. The higher light is with a small minority of people. That's why it's only a certain amount of y'all here. That's why I don't mind my YouTube numbers being low or them blocking my stuff, because only certain people gonna get this light. Because you are going to be the people who lead the people into the next dispensation of what's going on. Right? It was what? It was written, right, in 1787, September 17, 1787, right? But remember, we talking about when it became constitutionally in effect, mean when it was ratified, right? When it started to take effect, didn't come to 88 and then copies. It came into 88. It was a year later, and the last state was Rhode Island to buy in. They needed a majority buy-in, right? And so once it was ratified, that's when it came into effect, July 7, 1788, right? Or 61 years and 13 days before the Cosmon era. Watch me that cold. 61 days, 61 years, and 13 days before the beginning of the Cosmon era leads you to July 2nd, 1788, and the ratification of the United States Constitution came officially into effect, and that is, it became irreversible on that day, but not just physically irreversible. It's also spiritually irreversible. Watch this, because y'all don't never pay attention to why things would happen. Why would they want to do this? First things first is, remember, they're not freeing you and your black ass. Nope. Remember, you are already here, Angui, in America. It's not you that they're fighting for. You are not a 14th Amendment citizen. That's why you can't be deported. You were already here. So let that sink in one. So when all this fighting and they talking about who making rules and doing all this time, these ain't necessarily white faces. Many are European, but they're not necessarily pale face Europeans. This is what they hiding, y'all. You dig what I'm talking about? Let's just be real about it. White folks still hate niggas today. Today, we still the most hated people on earth. Today. Let's just be real about it. Even though Waspy said it. And he said, y'all hate us the most. So don't take it up with me. But then why, if that's the case, and the vitriol is so long, why would you go out of your way to help us in a time that we're supposed to be enslaved? You wouldn't. And you didn't. Well, then who was doing the fighting? Who was calling the shots? It was the niggas. This is why the mix up. There's no way a barbaric people who have a people enslaved are going to let them up. Only a people who are moral, who have a system that's being conflated as slavery, right? Peonage and penal system and all that stuff being conflated as that, would actually take the time to care about the slave enough to even fight to free them. You got to remember, the only reason you was on the plantation is because you owned them. Owaspy, Book of Inspiration. Let's get inspired. Let's see what was getting inspired in this Holy Compact Day, right? Independence Day. And let's see why they say it became, hold on, let's go back up. Let's go back up. That it say it became irreversible on that day. Why? Because you didn't only lock it in physically, you locked it in spiritually. You always got to remember you're a spiritual people. Sometimes you need to look with your spiritual eyes, hear with your spiritual ears, even eat some of them fruits and herbs and with your spiritual tongue and touch it with your spiritual hands. Because if you're looking with your physical eyes, trying to understand it, with your brain instead of your mind, it doesn't make sense. If you are so physical, you know what I mean, or so earthly, you are no heavenly good, or no so heavenly good that you ain't no earthly good, you ain't balanced. You ain't, in fact, spiritual at all. The greatest is to understand and master the left and the right, the light and the dark, the great duality itself. And to understand that it's not a duality. It's a three-way. Because none of that happen. No left, no right without creator. No light, no dark without creator. No electricity, no magnetism without first motion. And then the creator. You dig what I'm saying? So yeah. It's apparent to us that it's a great duality. We see the left and the right, the up and the down, the negative, the positive, the male, the female. But then there is a cause behind all that. Making it a great three-way, a triune, a trinity, the in fact trinity, not the fake triune gods, but Let's go into the book of Inspiration, 15:1-6. This is Holy Compact Day. Now, as the creator through his God, stop right there. Okay. Notice that we are singling out Jehovah, the creator, that he did something through his God. So that lets you know right there that what God is and what created the Jehovah is are not the same thing. As a matter of fact, that the power of God comes through Jehovah. How do we know? Because Jehovah did something through his God. So this is God. This is the God maker. This a nigga who sit on the throne. This the nigga who make everything. This nigga stank. He angry. He vengeful. He murderous. He's a pedophile and a pederast and a pedivore. Huh? He also accept human sacrifice and his breath stank. Huh? This nigga made him. They're two different things. Huh? This is the man, right? A one-time living, breathing man. This is the thing that make everything. Religion duped you into believing this was this. Don't you think God created the sun, moon, and stars? Don't you think that? Don't you think, just like the Bible indoctrinated you to believe that in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth? Well, you didn't know that something made God. Religion duped you to praise the creation, huh? Religion and these false gods duped you into believing God and the creator, Yahweh, Jehovah, Eoah, Egoquim, Eoah, Gichi, regardless to whatever name you calling him, Hotien, don't matter. When you talking about the creator of all things, sun, moon, and stars, right? Religion duped you into believing that's called God, when in fact, you are in a sense, you are the seed of what a God is, what a God grows to be. God would be the finished plant or tree giving fruit. Man would be the seed. Man is the seed of a God. A God is what a man grows to be. So we just want to make a distinction right there that God, the nigga that's in the sky, that sit on the throne, that got a heavenly place, is a nigga just like you. As a matter of fact, you in your living body, once your living body go back into the dirt, huh? The spiritual side, the unseen, atmospheric, etheric parts of you grow just like the tree does out of the seed from the ground. Your body is the seed that goes in the ground that grows a dominant giant spirit of a man. So as the creator through his God bequeathed, what? Hold on, let's break it down. Bequeathed to the children of Gautama. Gautama is America, but not only America, specifically North America. because we got a North and South Guatemala. But when they speak of Guatemala as in a whole, they talking about North America. Right? They'll tell you North Guatemala or South Guatemala or Central Guatemala. They'll tell you exactly where they're talking about. But when they say Guatemala, for sure, we're talking about North America primarily. All right? So the Creator, through God, bequeathed to the children of America a government. Huh? Y'all ain't even never heard of this. This means Guata. Ma. This is 4 tribes. Tama. Gua 4. Tama. Tribes. And the land where the 34 ships that landed off the great sunken continent of Pan, or what many call Lemuria, Mu, Atlantis, landed in the place that we now call in Central America, Gua, Ta, Ma, La, or the land, La, of the 4 tribes. Or when you do it like this, 1, look at the thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, in the middle there's a cross, right? So it's the land of the great cross, right? Which may, now that I'm thinking about it, may mean admixture. There's a way to say that, admixing, but this would just be Indian stocks mixing back with more Indian stocks. That's how you do it. You dig what I'm talking about? One of these stocks go on to be your mound builder, the other one go on to be your megalithic builder. You mix them together, you get an Indian. You get a Negro. Copper color brown, very physical, tall. You dig what I'm talking about? And very spiritual. Very spiritual. He copper color brown. He got long, black, coarse nigger hair. He very athletic and dominant physically. That fits only one people in North America, as the Creator in Owaspy explains them in the first book of the Lords. So we already know who he talking about, right? In Guatemala. So they wasn't tripping on how people look. You shouldn't either. But understand that before a European was here, before an African could have ever got here, before anybody migrated anywhere across the world, mind you, that the Indians and the Chinese primarily stay where they're at. The Asians, and the Shemitic people primarily stay where they at. They don't primarily go nowhere if they got to get took. For the most part, they stay where they at. Indians stay in India, in Persian shit, and the Asians stay in Russia and in China and Southeast Asia. For the most part, niggas primarily migrate north and south. This is why you get great kingdoms in South America full of niggas and great kingdoms in North America full of niggas doing primarily the same thing. Right? Because before even the Inca got there, the Huari was there. The Wari people were already there way before the Inca got there. They built the roads that the Inca take credit for. You dig what I'm talking about? And they built the Pumapunkus of the world, the Corral Supes of the world, the Aspero Supes of the world. They, you know, the places that's 5,000-6,000 years old. You dig what I'm saying? These are the people who was there before, that built them, and that was there before the Incas ever even got there, way before. Shout out to the Chanca. You dig what I'm talking about? You know, even though the Incas is the homies, they family, they still sellouts. They sold out to the Spanish. They didn't even fight them. They just let them in, and then they warred with them against the Aboriginal copper-colored people that was already in Peru, right? With the white boy. They came down there and warred against them. And then the white boy turned around after they both whooped on the Chanca, right? The Spanish turned around and whooped on them. I mean, it is what it is. You know, they probably my ancestors too, but you gotta get what you get. But the Creator, through God, bequeathed to the children of America a government, unfettered by the name of God or Lord or Savior. So Creator sanctified the day of the ratification and signing and sealing of his compact. Y'all trying to give the overall idea for peace to a people who have never been peaceful. How could that possibly be? Y'all saying y'all didn't do this, I did this. How could you do this? You're a bloody warrior people. The same way I did it with the Algonquin 6,000 years ago. The same way I gave it to the Iroquois 1,000 years ago. Right? 5,000 years after it already existed. I gave it to the Iroquois. Yeah. So that Negro stock of America had been upholding the true American Constitution 6,000 years, 5,000 years before the Iroquois even got it. This is why the story of Iwata is told in the story of Hiawatha. It's a conflation of the story because they got it later. Right? This is why we celebrate. So the Creator sanctified the day, 61 years and 13 days before the Cosmos era, and the ratification of what we know as the American Constitution and its signing, right, as the day of the Holy Seal. You see now? You see why we as children of the Creator would rock with this day? For its meaning. Why? And for its sign, he made a what? A hand holding a quill. Watch this. Let me show y'all what he talking about. Hold on. Right. Oh, wow. Watch this. Pick of hand holding a quill. Like this. This is what they talking about. See the hand holding the quill? This is a sign. I'm telling you, every one of y'all know what this sign is too. Hold on. Every one of y'all know what this sign is too. And what it means. And when I say it, you're going to be like, oh, that's what that means? Watch this. Let's go back. Hold on. Let's go back. We see the hand holding the quill. Right? We see that. Hold on. 1 minute. Where we at? Right there. We see the hand holding the quill. Right there, right? What do watch me say? For a sign, right, of the day of the Holy Seal, or the ratification of the American Constitution, right? And for its sign, he made a what? A hand holding a quill, right? So the hand holding the quill is a sign, right? A sign of what? What does it mean? What does it mean? Which shall be the master sign of salutation. This is how you salute your OG. This is why y'all got to understand what gang signs is. They really mudras. This is why they call them gang signs. Right? They've applied different meanings to things and twisted and corrupted them, but you throw them for a reason because it's in your blood. Which shall be the master sign of salutation. This is how a initiate greets an adept. This is the sign of salutation in the lodge on the day and evening commemorating the same day. So on tomorrow, right, when you go out in the lodge is the world, right? When you go stand up under that sun and give that praise to the Great Spirit, you hold your hand in sign of salutation, right? It's a sign of salutation when you greet your homeboy to hold it like you write in a pen, like you about to write a letter. That sign, like this. Hold on, let me show y'all. Let me blow it up so y'all can see what I'm talking about. This. Y'all see it? Like I'm holding a pencil, like I'm writing a pencil. That's the quill. That's the hand in the quill. It's a secret adept sign. Watch this. Let me blow it back up. Let me show you. Now tomorrow when you greet your OGs, you dig what I'm talking about? You dap them up. You hit them with that sign in the morning or the evening commemorating the ratification of the American Constitution, the greatest compact to ever be written on this planet. Inspired purportedly by this creator. Huh? That sound like something God would do. Now, for instance, right? Let's compare that to what God did in the Bible, right? Let's hold on for 1 second. Let's compare that to what God did in the Bible. Okay. Creator, he creates the greatest compact of peace and freedom, liberty the world has ever seen. That sounds like something a God of peace, of love, and all that would do, right? A creator would do, right? On the other hand, let's see what the biblical God did when it was time for his revolution. He said, he told Samuel to tell Saul, hey, remember them Amalekites, nigga? Yeah. Remember how they was treating you when you came up out of Egypt? I want you to kill the men, the women, the children, the infants, the suckling babies, the dogs, the cats, the camels, the frogs, the hog, the chicken, turkey, turkey. Kill. He told him to kill the. You know what a suckling baby is? A suckling baby is a baby so small it's still on the mama teeth. He said, kill them too. Now you compare them. Which one is light? Create a compact of freedom and liberty, organized for emancipation, or kill the babies, the infants, women, and the sucklings. God versus the God maker. It's a big difference. Light, what Creator did, freedom, liberty, emancipation, compared to kill the infant children of the biblical God. Remember, I rock hoes, you rock fellas. You dig what I'm talking about? You got to put that together. That you got to make that make sense on your own. It ain't gonna never make sense. You can't never make it make sense that killing a baby is life. It's good. That's cool. Especially after you told me thou shalt not kill, and now you want me to go kill. Not on. First of all, you ain't killing. That means you saw. You didn't kill him. You came to me and told me to kill him. So one, that's a strike against you. You saw. You didn't put your own work in. Two, you putting it on me to go kill him. And three, and most importantly, nigga, from the day I was born, you told me thou shalt not kill. You told me that. I didn't make that up. You told me thou shalt not kill. Now it's kill infants and suckling babies. No. Something is wrong here. Obviously, the person who told me thou shalt not kill and kill the infant, kill the white people, it's two different people. Obviously, it's two different things. Thou shalt not kill and kill infants are opposites. So if you're going to have a God who don't change and all this stuff, and there is none beside me and all this, well, then you can't flip-flop. You can't contradict yourself. You told me thou shalt not kill. Now go kill everybody. The Hivites, Jebusites, the whoever-anites. Kill them too while you at it. This obviously ain't the same being that was telling us thou shalt not kill, not even for your food. It can't be. Right? But let's keep cooking. And the Creator made the answer to that sign, right? That sign we just showed. The holding up by the member of the lodge of a piece of paper signifying Constitution. So a quick way that a faith is do that. You could if somebody throw you the side, whip out a dollar bill on that nigga, wave it on you, wave your dollar bills tomorrow. You hear me? Therefore, it was said, the master saluted on the sign, day of the holy seal. So the master, you did what I'm talking about. The adept shows the sign. He salutes the sign, or he waves the dollar, right? When you throw the sign of the seal of the Holy Compact. You dig what I'm talking about? Which is the hand and the quill. So I throw you the hand and the quill sign, you weigh your dollar. Mm-hmm. Just the way you dig what I'm talking about to rationalize it so you could see and visualize it today in your mind. But we talking about the spiritual aspect of the signing of the great law of peace, or the Constitution of America. Therefore, it was said that the master, therefore it was said that the master saluted on the day of the Holy Seal, and the lodge answered in the sign of Constitution. He threw the sign up there, hand and quill. The niggas answered back with the paper and the Constitution. It's a sign and an answer. So tomorrow when you go out there, wave your dollars on them niggas. They ain't even gonna know. Huh? We showing love for the creator though. Right? Wave your dollars. Every 4th of July, let's just start that. We just wave our dollars. Dig what I'm talking about? Faith is gonna know what it is. And Creator said, remember this day and keep it holy. So this is why 4th of July has been implemented into the American psyche and will forever be here. Why? Whether you know it or not, whether America knows it or not, we have been and will keep applying these practices. What y'all got to understand is the Faithists were doing this before OWASP existed. We've been doing this mouth to ear before OWASP existed. OWASP tell you in the book, the stuff that we revealing now today in 1882 ain't wholly new, my nigga. The same stuff has been given to people over various and vast amounts of time since the time of Zarathustra. That's 7,000 BC. So the same thing Zarathustra would have been known, the same thing Abraham and Brahma and Iwata and Poe would have known, would have been the same thing Moses and Chinese and Capilia knew, would have been the same thing that Yeshua knew, would have been the same thing. You see what I'm saying? People have been practicing this and doing this stuff, and then they switch it and flip it and put it on their calendar. But that ain't got nothing to do with how you following the Sabbaths and why these things fell on the Sabbath days back then, if you know how to count them. Certain times and places they fell on certain reasons. So now we know that there was a reason why it was signed on July 2nd, 1788. It's not by chance. Huh? That's amazing. I don't care. Listen, if y'all don't get that, it'll catch up with you slow ass niggas. I'm not going to just stay bogged down. I'm going to keep moving you forward. You're going to get it though. There is a reason, an absolute reason that the Constitution was signed on July 2nd, 17, or ratified on July 2nd, 1788, because it has rhyme and reason to it, backed by mathematics. Freedom, liberty, organized emancipation, right? Light. All sorts from the Great Spirit. It had to come on time. Now we know how to tell it. Wars happen on certain times. Everything happened at a certain time, a reason time. It's just being able to recognize when things are going to happen, apply the right mathematics, but you can't, it's idiotic to assume, it's oxymoronic to assume that you could start in the wrong place, but end up in the right place. See, if you don't start in the wrong place, in the right place, you can't end up in the right place. See, you can do all the math in the middle. That could be correct. But if you start in the wrong place, you're going to end up in the wrong place. You're going to be looking around for something that ain't there. And wondering why you missing it. You did. Creator said, remember this day and keep it holy to the end of the world, for this was the beginning of the liberty for man. The history of the Holy Compact Day. On July 2nd in 1788, in the land of America, the president of its then current government, the Congress of the Confederation. So we're talking about the Congressional Congress, Confederate Congress and all that, right? With John Hanson and all them, the 14 prior presidents to George Washington. Yeah. We're talking about that time. Speaking on behalf of and for that government, formally announced that the heavily debated Constitution. Let's go back. Let's read. On July 2nd in 1788, in the land of America, the president of its then current government, the Congress of the Confederation, speaking on behalf of and for that government, formally announced that the heavily debated Constitution was now in effect. In other words, from that time forward, it was irreversibly the core document around which America's government would form itself, thus sealing the fate of the American states and people, and known from then on as the United States of America. What is, let's just ask a simple question, because that is a good question, right? Or it begs to ask a good question. It was this document, this American Constitution, was irreversibly the core document around which America's government itself would form. Is that true? Right? Right? Is the American Constitution at the core of the American government? Huh? What? I don't be just talking. And this is why I rock with Owaspy, because it make you go out and prove it. It don't say nothing that you can't go out and prove. Why? Because it's truth. And if it's truth, it's always provable. This is why we don't never have to believe nothing. They be asking stupid questions. What's your belief? I ain't got no belief. What do I need to believe in? I know the Creator real. What do I need to believe in? Right? I understand. Right? Only a small minority gonna have a higher light. I'm telling you, it's you. Right? You the only one here trying to decipher it. You the only one here trying to make it make sense. You the only one here with a book that is a power today. And you the only one here standing 10 toes on the Creator. No God, no Lord, no Savior, no government. Huh? Look what it say. Yes, the United States Constitution is absolutely central to the American government. This ain't for everybody. Don't worry about what they're going to do with it. Half of them will never be intelligent enough to receive it. They're going to have to die to get the information that I'm giving out free. They're going to have to learn that their God is fake. Maybe 1,000 years from now. They got to go through all that hurt and pain first before they actually just stop believing and start knowing. It's not my fault. My question is, how do Waspi know this stuff? This is crazy. Now, thus on July 2nd, 1788, the fate of the new American Constitution was sealed, made irrevocable, for legitimacy had been passed on that day and without bloodshed. Without bloodshed. From the old government to the new government. So people be wondering, well, how did this happen? You dig what I'm talking about? White folks came in there and whooped you and just took your land. And no. No. How? That's not how it worked. We had a deal. This is why you were there prior to the very first census. Free people of color and Indians. Where are those descendants today? Who are they? Right? Ask yourself that question. Who are the free people of color and the Indians? Who are their descendants today? Because obviously they're not the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment people because they're from here. So that ain't got nothing to do with it. Right? So they couldn't have been slaves. Or nor could they have been made an American citizen when they were already one in 1788. Chet, we see why they trying to lie and say they took something, because a compact was done. It was a deal. So now we got to look. Oh, a lot of them enemies we thought was white folks is really brown folks. For legitimacy, a legitimate. Who had it before them? The Iroquois. The Algonquins. Legitimacy from the tribes had been given to the Constitutional Confederation or the Congressional Congress to create a new government without no bloodshed, wasn't no shots. Nobody took anything. So we got to get that old narrative like somebody whooped on somebody over here to take something. That didn't happen. And Waspi is even revealing that. You got to understand, your ancestors wasn't punks. Now, consider now exactly what it is that the faith is observed and why they keep the day holy. At the heart of sanctifying the day as holy stands three conditions supremely important for man's progress. All of them now irreversible, though until the seal was set at that time, they were not. And the first, look here, the first and primary importance for the other two was that the republic was not founded on the name of any God, Lord, or Savior, or as said in Waspi, the Constitution, the compact, was founded unfettered by the name of any God, Lord, or Savior. This allowed man to follow the light of his own conscience, not what a God told you. It's not till other people come here enforcing things and ideologies on the people, wiping people out, diseasing people out, warring people out. You dig what I'm talking about? and the government literally backing it, to undergird its peasantry from Europe. And to make these Africans who were slaves, you dig what I'm talking about, Americans. Now, the crazy part is many of these quote unquote Africans that were slaves, you dig what I'm talking about, in the Americas, only 0.1%, not 1%, a tenth of 1% of the people who got made into American citizens under 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment were actually born in Africa. So let that sink in a second. Shout out David Eltis for revealing that. So when they try to say you this black African thing and all that stuff, they got to prove that, first of all, them people was enslaved and that they're from Africa. And then on top of that, they're you. Don't let nobody tell you who you are. If you ain't found no slave, why would you apply it to yourself? And ain't nobody answered the question, what happened and where are all the millions and millions of copper-colored indigenous Indians and free people of color that predate the American Constitution and make up the primary of we the people? Who are they today? Maybe they're the most numerous people, or the blacks, the Negroes, the coloreds. Maybe this is why they keep changing our name. To hide the fact that you are indigenous to this land. And you always praise the Great Spirit. I keep telling you. Keep telling you. In fact, the Constitution, as written, did not include a guaranteed right for man to follow the dictates of his conscience. Did you know that? The original Constitution, as written, did not include a guaranteed right for man to follow the dictates of his own conscience. Y'all knew that? Put a 1 in the chat. If you didn't, put a 2. But look, during the ratification process, right, it wasn't right. Remember, in 1787, it was written. But it wasn't until the ratification process that it became evident that the Constitution, as it was written, would not pass ratification without the guarantee for freedom of conscience as well as for other individual rights. They knew it. And this is why we rock with today. Because it guarantees it. Guarantees freedom of conscience, and individual rights. Those in charge of the proceedings publicly promised that if the Constitution as written was ratified, then amendments to the Constitution would immediately proceed so that certain specified and unspecified rights of individuals and states would be included as amendments. The people voted in the Constitution, and true to their word, those in charge set the amendment process in motion so that shortly they would be added to the U.S. Constitution. Now, naturally, the original omission of these rights was not an evil plot by the founders, but thought unnecessary to include them since these rights were already in existence and entrenched in the people, as well as being the law of the land for some 150 years under English common law. English common law starting to sound a whole like Algonquin. Starting to sound like Iroquois. How? 150 years before that. That's 1730s. Huh? Yes, under English common law. But in 1730s, who you was enforcing this on? Couldn't have been nobody but the English people. But remember, there was already a constitution. Let that sink in. English common law was unwritten but understood by the commoners of England, as well as nobility, to be the guiding body of boundaries or rights beyond which a government could not trespass without risking rebellion and overthrow. Sensible people in the governance understood that for any ruler to try to abrogate or diminish these rights was to play with fire. Accordingly, the Constitution's framers believed that the English common law would continue under the American system of jurisprudence, but as American rights. And indeed, the American judicial system, built in great measure upon what they inherited from England or Great Britain, but framed and modified now under the broad mandates of the U.S. Constitution. This is your penal system. Even under the American system, elements of English common law were still considered potent for a season as legal argument in court. Eventually, these would be modified, qualified for, or discarded. Many laws of today have their antecedents in English common law. Nevertheless, the framers of the U.S. Constitution underestimated the fear of the people regarding centralized government and the power of the backlash did not come forth till the proposed U.S. Constitution was making the rounds of ratification by the people of each state. For many of the populace did not trust centralized government from afar. Sound familiar? The recent behavior, especially from about 1760 of Great Britain, including its agents and war with it, had made them weary. Accordingly, when no provision was seen in the proposed U.S. Constitution, an outcry arose, fearing loss of the people's rights. After all, if they had been living under English common law and England was no longer ruling them, then what guarantees did the proposed Constitution offer? None. Accordingly, a deal was struck by which such rights would be amended to the Constitution as soon as possible after the government was in place. On one side of the deal were those who desired the Constitution as is. The other desired it with included guaranteed rights, or else they would reject ratification. The sides agreed because they desired to avoid a repeat of the often tedious, contentious, and always difficult job of reaching consensus in framing and promoting a federal constitution. The leaders who made the deal had no intention of failing in their promise regarding the rights amendments. Both sides knew that there were a deal to collapse the entire experiment, in quotations, as the people of the time regarded it, meaning willing to try a new form of government, right? As the people of the time regarded it, would have collapsed, as the proposed new federal government would not have been able to form in the resulting climate of distrust. Knowing that prospects for any further constructive change would have been lost, they resolved to see their word fulfilled. The important thing to keep in mind is that in the initial framing of the United States Constitution, these individual rights had been assumed to be part of the underlayment or ground of that new government being set forth by the proposed U.S. Constitution. The Declaration of Independence was also considered to part of that underpinning because the framers recognized and embraced the powerful sentiments within the Declaration that stirred the desire for the perfect government. Although they settled through negotiation for something not as high, but nevertheless sturdy. Interestingly, the Declaration of Independence, in its function as initial unifier of the states and its peoples, was agreed upon by the United States Constitution, or United States Continental Congress, on July 2nd, 1776, or 73 years and 13 days before the Cosmon era. One ode before the framing of the United States Constitution in 1787. Remember, ode is 11 years, 1/3 of 33. And to the day, 12 years prior to the signing of the United States Constitution, aka the Holy Compact Day on July 2nd, 1788, aka 61 years and 13 days before Cosmo. 12 is the number of the man in Simoin. When we think of how significant for the whole mankind, not just the new republic, these two events were, one can't help but marvel at the harmony in which Jehovah's plans unfold. Didn't I tell y'all it happened on July 2nd for a reason? The second thing we remember and honor is that the United States Constitution guarantees man the right to follow the dictates of his conscience. This was the First Amendment added to the Constitution, meaning becoming an integral part of it after the Constitution had been declared law of the land on July 2nd, 1788. The third thing we remember and honor on that day of the Holy Seal is that on this day, 230 years ago, which would have been 237 years now, the power of the governance changed hands to the people. 230 years ago, 238 years ago, the power of governance changed hands to the people, a republic, right? From a monarchy or kings and dictatorships, which was still going on over there in England. Remember at this time, 1788, Queen Charlotte, the little black German girl, and King George III, who has now been shown as a mulatto Negro, were on the throne in England. Let that sink in. She also goes on to have 15 children who go on to marry into the hierarchies of all Europe and Asia. Let it sink in. What we celebrate here is not that a majority itself knows how to govern. The majority, listen, didn't I just tell y'all this early? This is in OWASP. A majority is always the lesser light. It's the book of Jehovah's Kingdom on Earth 26:2. The majority is always the lesser light. So being ruled by the people, right, is better than a monarchy, but it's not better than true governance or one world governance, which would lead to no governance, right? So if it's something better than monarchy, got to be something better than the republic. Why? Because the majority, which the republic is, the majority rule, is always the lesser life. But that people as a whole can decide what form of governance to have rather than have a governance foisted upon them, chosen by a king or queen or some dictator. One thing to bear in mind is that aside from voting for a monarch, where am I at? The monarch-free government, the people can vote. The people can vote to have a constitutional monarchy, regardless of what it calls itself. That is a monarch who is restrained by a constitution, just like we got today. Or the people can vote for an autocratic system that allows for those who are dictator in style, although these tend to either disregard a constitution or to abrogate it or to modify it in repressive ways without seeking consent of the governor. And so usually end in disarray. In any event, we hold dear those three foundational qualities that God established because of the U.S. Constitution, namely, one, free of a named God, Lord, or Savior. Right? We praise none but the Great Spirit here. Standing on it. Freedom, right? Two, number freedom to follow the dictates of one's conscience. And three, freedom for the member of a social order to choose the type of governance that will provide for and uphold their collective will. These fellow faithists, huh? Shout out to the Essenes. Shout out to the Nazarenes. You dig what I'm talking about? Shout out to the Algonquin. Shout out to the Vedic. Shout out to the Confucian. Huh? Shout out to my brothers, the Thomasine. Shout out to the Persians. You dig what I'm talking about? Shout out to the Shi. Right? Shout out to the Muskogans. Shout out to all the Algic speaking people. Shout out to the Algonquins. Shout out to the Diné. Shout out to the Suwan. Shout out to the Haudenosaunee. You dig what I'm saying? Love, like balance out there. All these fellow faithists. How do you know they faithists? Every one of them are praisers of the Great Spirit, not God. Not God. The God maker, not the watch. The watchmaker. This is how we know they fellow faithists. It's what you do that proves who you are, not what you look like. It's what you do. These fellow faithists are the beginning of the foundation for the Creator's kingdom on earth. The angelic hosts of the Creator's kingdom helped man to attain to those three things. Those three things set the foundation on this earth for the first resurrection within the domain of God. Who is the who? God is the son of the Creator, Yahweh. He is not Yahweh. He is the son of Yahweh. For without freedom to follow the dictates of one's conscience, one is bound by the beast. We bang on that beast daily, but for those who can't follow the dictates of their own conscience, they bound by the beast, the law, the dictate, the government, and cannot therefore resurrect except perhaps comparatively, stealthily, and slowly inching upward, but not freely. For the Creator's resurrections are based upon freedom. But with freedom comes what? Responsibility. And so power to decide is collective governance is given to man. And lastly, to set up a named God, Lord or Savior over the people is to surrender power of the governance to that God, that Lord, that Savior, that Mashiach. This is why we ain't rocking with it in the United States. You can't even pay these youngsters to go to church. They know it's faulty. Because you ain't never praised it. Neither did your ancestors. As can be perceived, then the foundation of the Creator's kingdom on earth was established at that time. Because such an established inorganic first resurrection can exist without the domain of God, the Son of Jehovah, and further resurrections can come forth from it. Keep in mind that the Creator's angels did not tell man how to form his government. Man made his own choices. In other words, other than the Creator's kingdom assisting man to make certain that the above three items were included, man was suffered to make his own decisions. Although the Creator's kingdom did provide light and inspire thoughts of better possibilities and solutions. Since that time, those core ideas set forth in the founding document spread around the world. Man's progress since has been toward that foundation till at last they have become sealed in collective man's soul. Ooh-wee. Constitution of the United States has spread around the world. That is fact. Many of the countries of the world base their constitutions directly off of what the United States does. Mexico, Canada, just to name a few. Showing that its power and its primacy, right? That it's primary, because everybody else come after that, right? They trying to change theirs to be like yours. Man's progress since has been toward that foundation till at last they have become sealed in collective man's soul. And it is in the rising from that foundation that the next level of social order will come. Right? It's something after this great republic. Y'all getting ready for it? That core foundation will continue to be necessary, but not sufficient for the next level, which is the what? The fraternity social order. Creator gang. Y'all throw them vortexes in the chat out there for the Creator gang, man. Y'all learning a little something about why we practicing Holy Compact Day, or what you call Independence Day or 4th of July. Getting a little understanding why the faith is rock with it, and just hit me with some vortexes in the chat. Let's keep cooking. That core foundation, United States Constitution as it is currently, right, will be necessary, but it's not sufficient for the next level of the fraternity social order. Creator gang. Shout out to the RFK UFK. Shout out to the Essenes of Cosmon too, and the Seventh Day Adventists. Oh, and shout out to them boys over there in London, also down there in Brazil. Shout out to my folks out there in India. Also, all the big watchers out in Russia. My second greatest watcher outside of the United States is Russia. Shout out to the sons and daughters of Confucius. That foundation is necessary, but it's not sufficient in the new fraternity social order. We gonna run our own things. We're not waiting on the government to tell us nothing. And my OGs have always told me, if you don't like the rules, stop playing the game. You don't like the rules, stop playing the game. Make your own. Get your own. Take your ball and go home. Just so happens you already at home. Let that sink in. There, that core freedom to follow the dictates of one's conscience, no imposed religion, and agreement of the members as to form of governance, all three will be given. That is, expected as normal, even as we expect fresh air and solid earth to be available when we step outside our house. Even as the importance of collective man will grow in the coming time, so will man's understanding grow regarding the true spiritual needs of collective man. It is a recognition of this from which the fraternity social order will grow. Remember, this is 2017. They're talking about a time before the gang even existed, talking about the structure that would go to put the gang together. Huh? Y'all thought I was talking about something that came in the future. You forgot you already in the future. 2017, there was no creator gang. 2025, we gang and we deep. What about 4 years ago? 5 years ago, gang popped on the scene. Huh? Y'all didn't even know this stuff is mandated by the universe to come. Huh? The fraternal social order is the new way. This is how you're going to build your new cities. This is how you're going to have a government you can rock with, that you can trust. Because it's not coming out of the old. Yeah, it's built on the back of it, you know what I mean? Because it does have freedom, liberty, emancipation built into it, but it's not sufficient. So guess what we're going to do? Tear down the foundation. Huh? And build a whole new social order. That's what's going on right now. Y'all don't even know. You got a couple years. You're going to be locked in. 2031. Choose, niggas. Giving you a couple years. You in the time of Sutao. Time with people making up their mind whether they want to be fuck niggas or they want to be good people. This is that time.
Thank you.
Bless you. Huh? Even as the importance of collective man will grow in the coming time, so will man's understanding grow regarding the true spiritual needs of collective man. It is in the recognition of this from which the fraternity social order will grow. Huh? One of those collective needs will be for virtue. While many will attain to it, many will not. In short, amidst the second resurrection among mortals will be the first resurrection. This is defined a little bit also in the forming of the gang. If y'all go back, I think it's in the last 30 or so videos where I did prophecy of the creator gang, where it told of, you know, our brothers and sisters who weren't already faithists, but who were faithists but didn't know it. It told of them locking in with the practitioners of Owaspy and the faithists already, and that we would become a group. That group ended up being Creator Gang. roughly the same time this is being prophesied, or this breakdown on the Holy Compact Day is being broken down, prophecy comes around about the gang 5 or 6 years before it existed, telling us that, for instance, I'll take my brother Malachi Maccabee. Anybody know my brother? No, he's always stood on what he stood on. To the best of his knowledge, whatever he stood on that. He was a faithist to his core and didn't know it. Was raised up in the Israelite schools of thought, but he was able to see something ain't right. So naturally, he starts asking questions. He gets some more light. The Nazarene text, the Essene text, the pseudepigrapha text, and then it's starting to, the lights is cutting on brighter and brighter and brighter, and the picture is getting uglier and uglier. Till them lights came on, to that light of the Creator just tore the roof off the house, to where you can't not see it no more. Oh, wait a minute, something wrong. Many of the people that you dig what I'm talking about, came from that type of understanding and had been rocking with my brother. As he was growing, they were growing, right? Israelite brothers, Hebrew brothers, Christian brothers, all type of different denominations, just behind my bro. Owaspi specifically or prophecy specifically talks about the people who are faithists but don't know they faithists, getting with the people who know they faithists and becoming a social fraternal order. Create a gang. That was talked about 5-6 years before we didn't even know each other. And yet prophecy was given on that. This is why I always salute the Essenes. This is why I always salute the Nazarenes, the Ebionites. You dig what I'm talking about? The Vedic, the Hotian. You dig what I'm talking about? I got love for all the praises of the Great Spirit. You dig what I'm talking about? And all good people, period. No matter what you do, you could be an atheist as long as you just good. You're still my people. Can I leave my children around you without you doing something? That make you my people. Huh? Is you gonna do the right thing when ain't nobody looking? They're my people. You gonna try to do the best you can, when you can, how you can? They're my people. Ain't got nothing to do with skin color. People don't like that. You dig what I'm saying? You know, I'm a man first, and I'm a praiser of the Great Spirit second. And just so happen, you dig what I'm talking about? So I'm a faithist, right? I'm a man, then I'm a faithist. I just so happen to be Aboriginal. So I'm going to lock my people back in what they've been doing, and I'm the only one in the entire community that does it. I know you hate it. I know you do. Because I make you call in the question all of that big Indian talk you talking about, but you can't even do the smallest thing, the most important thing of what an Aboriginal really does. And that's praise the Great Spirit. What's it called? Since you're so Aboriginal, what's your spirituality called? What's the system called. Let me give you a hint. Let me give you a hint of what your on-earth ritual system of the Algonquin is called. I'll give you a hint. It goes on to be a god in Egypt. And I'm talking 5, 6, 7,000 years before Egypt was founded. You had a system in America, right? A spiritual system in America, which is the name of your spiritual system. Like just like Christian got a name, just like Buddhist got a name. You had a set of rituals and ceremonies that was practiced on the equinoxes and the solstices, right? And the half days also. We call them harvest days or planting days or rooting days. You dig what I'm talking about? Anyways, you know, this information can't be stopped. This information can't be stopped, y'all. You just so far ahead of the game. Huh? Hold on one second. Hold on one second. All right, my bad, y'all. Let me get back to this real quick. Hold on. Kind of threw me off for a minute, but as I was saying though, you know, gang was prophesied. Blew my mind when I figured it out. Go back in a couple of videos. It's probably in the last 20 videos. You did what I'm talking about, maybe in the 230s or something like that. You know what I mean? This is the next government status or level of type of government to come after republics, right? We came from dictatorships, monarchies, and stuff like that, you know, to the republic, right? Now we're going to go into fraternity social orders, right? We're going to have an all-encompassing one, but everybody else going to run their own thing. But what the basis is, treat your brother like you wanted to be treated. That's going to be the basis of it all. So you can't have no constitution that say you can jerk me over, you know what I mean? Just because you exist, that, you know, you can't have a constitution like that. But, you know, it is going to be cities and states that have their own little fraternity social orders. They're getting tired of what's going on. If people not perceiving that, well, you just blind. Let your Uncle Cosmon tell you what's coming on down the road, since I'm the one that can read the signs. Remember, you ain't know about what the hand and the quill mean. And also, a hand in the quill also stands for, you dig what I'm talking about, or a hand pointing at a sword. Both of them also stand for the pen being mightier than the sword. Remember, they were already worn during the Civil War. Whether you believe that the Civil War was a civil case fought or that actual people fought in the war, neither one of them freed a person. Never freed nobody, regardless to whoever you say they is. It wasn't till the pen came in and freed them people, July 4th, 1863. And then another ratification of that had to come back behind that. You dig what I'm talking about? In 1865. So remember, somebody know how to read the signs. A lot of times y'all don't like who read them. For whatever reason, you dig what I'm talking about, but support the real. Because actually they're giving you information. Shout out Sela Shalom. Shout out Daryl Cosmo. Shout out Malachi Maccabee and yours truly. Anakwakaiti, the cloud kicker. I'm telling y'all stuff you can use today. Well, what's next after this? Fraternity social orders. Communal living, like the ancients.
20.
Okay. So that at the very bottom of this fraternity social order will stand that core of 3 conditions that were already sealed in the compact of the Republic. And when man is ready for the level above the fraternity social order, it too will have at its very bottom those 3 core conditions. For those reasons, then, we as faithists in the Creator, the I Am, observe and honor Holy Compact Day as the day of the Holy Seal. May all perceive and receive the blessings of the Great Spirit, man. Right there, we just gonna go ahead and end it right there. For anybody who want to come in, man, I'll drop the link. And the thing, you want to come chop it with your cousin real quick. Come chop it with the cloud kicker. I'm a cloud kicker, certified faithist nigga. Don't drink no liquor, but you know I like to twist up. What up, though? Y'all come on, holler at your cousin, man. You dig what I'm talking about? Oh, come on, holler at your cousin. They don't really know how this go. They get to talking about tribes and all that, man. That mean they don't even really know what's really going on. You dig what I'm talking about? They get to talk about, oh, I got a migration story. Goofy, that mean you came from another continent. You ain't migrating inside the United States if that's where you're from. Huh? No. Moving from Louisiana to Michigan is not a migration story. From Atlanta to California is not a migration story. From Virginia to Oklahoma is not a migration story. First of all, you can't prove that you wasn't already there and that you didn't have no relatives already there. 2, that's not what a migrant is. Migrants come from other places, brother. You ain't come from nowhere but Mississippi. There is no difference between Mississippi and North Dakota, or North Dakota and Michigan, or Michigan and New York, or New York in Florida or Florida in Texas. There's no difference. It's all the same land mass. The only difference is how you act and interact with the environment in the certain places that you is, which makes you Aboriginal indigenous. You can't migrate within your own land. Not migrating anywhere. You're just moving. If it's all yours, how do you migrate out of your home? Right? Migrants come from other places. Migrants don't. Okay, for instance, if you in your house and are you trying to say you migrated from your basement to your bathroom? Is that a migration in your own house? No, you just moved to a different area. Why? Most likely probably because it had a whole different purpose than what you needed at that time. So, got to be careful. You got to be careful. Anybody get to talking that old migration stuff, well, nigga, your people from somewhere else. And then if they don't tell you exactly who they is, you like, for instance, if they trying to say, oh, I'm Yamasi. Nigga ain't no Yamasi. The only reason that there is a Yamasi is because a whole bunch of nations confederated and created what was called Yamasi. There is no singular Yamasi people. They got the Stono in them. They got the Edisto in them. They got Catawbas in them. They got Apalachicolas in them. They got Calusas in them. They got, they got a bunch of people make up the Yamasi, right? You had people all the way up from here, up in Michigan, fighting down there in the Yamasi wars, making us, in a sense, Yamasi. But no, we was Algonquin. We still Algonquin, but when we confederated, we became Yamasi. So don't be tricked. A lot of these people be laying down these Native American stories. You dig what I'm talking about? Really be tying themselves to Native Americans and not the Aboriginal indigenous American. That's not the same thing, y'all. A Native American and an American Indian are two different people. You dig what I'm talking about? So many people be giving y'all these narratives, and if he even talking about tribe, that means he don't understand the head right system, and that the whole tribe talk comes from Europe. The only reason you talking about a tribe is the head right system in Barbados applied there before it ever got here in America, right? North, continental. You dig what I'm saying? Allotted plots of lands called tribes. And any slaves that they put on these lands were the tribe. That's where that comes from. We didn't have tribal affiliation like that. We had clan affiliation. And our clans are bred up of multiple familial lines that make up a clan. When you mix a whole bunch of clans together, right? This is when you get your so-called tribe. Which is really a chiefdom. You dig what I'm talking about? But multiple chiefdoms, right, together, become a nation. Multiple nations together become a confederacy. Multiple confederacies together, like the 40 United States or the 50 United States, 52 United States today, are empires, also known today as nations. That's how you step the game up. So don't let people talk to you. You dig what I'm talking about? When they talk about some migrated, well, where you migrate from? Huh? My people didn't go nowhere. They must have not understood. It was mound builders in Texas and mound builders in Canada. We was everywhere in between. And that's what they missing. They instead of trying to separate and always, you dig what I'm talking about, trying to point out, I'm big this, I'm this, or you ain't got this, you ain't this, and you lesser than me. Instead of trying to point out the differences, they're not intelligent enough to point out the commonalities. They don't, and if you can't point out the commonality, that means you don't see the oneness. Huh? And if you can't see the oneness in it, you definitely can't see the goodness, and you definitely can't see Creator in it. You dig what I'm talking about? You definitely can't see the Creator in it. Oh, yeah, they don't want to talk to your cousin. They don't want to talk to Cosmonian. I'll kick clouds out the sky. Huh? Yeah. I ain't buying none of it. All of it. I'm not buying none of it. You got to show me. You dig what I'm saying? How we gonna get up out of here tonight, y'all? Y'all don't know nothing about this. Let's play some of that Jagamo. Let's get up out of here on that Aboriginal. Let's get up out of here on that Aboriginal groove. Let's get up out of here on that Jagamo. Huh? Jagamo.